Hey guys, welcome back into our Python programming series. In this episode, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Python strings. We kind of briefly discussed a little bit about strings in our last episode. In this episode, we'll go ahead and take a little bit more details. We'll work through with some of the Python functions which are available to us, and we'll go ahead and make use of those. And again, as the series continue to progress, we will continue to explore and add more and more functions. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and start. So within the Python, you can define a string either using the double quotation mark, or you can make use of the single quote mark. It's up to you. Both are valid syntax. So you can make use of the double quotation mark or the single quotation mark to really show, okay, hey, this is the string. So if I say double quotation mark hello, and if I say single quotation mark hello, both are same, that means both are string. So depending on the situation, you can go ahead and make use of a double quotation mark or single quotation mark, and we will see, how can you make use of both at the same time as we progress further into the series. Just like any other programming language, Python don't have something like an arrays, but it's represented as a kind of a Unicode characters. So within a string, each character, so if you see this is a string, so let me just take off one of the string out here. So we know hello is a string in this case, and within the string there are these letters. So there is a letter H, there is a letter E, L, L, O. Each letter in the string, within the string, if you need to take out a single element or single character, we can do that by using the square bracket with the position of that letter. So the position of the letter is like this. So in this case, the H is at position number 0, while E is at the position number 1. This L is at position number 2. The next L is position number 3. The O is at the position number 4. And the position number starts from left to right and starts from number 0. So just to repeat one more time, the positions starts from left to right, starts from number 0 and onwards. And every letter in the string has a positional value. So if you need to take one particular element out, you can always specify the positional value of that element within the square brackets. So let me go ahead and show you that pretty quick. So let's go ahead and start our Python command line, and in this case let me go ahead and define a variable X, and within this variable X we'll go ahead and store hello again. And now if you need to take out a positional element, let's say we need to print the positional element E. So we know the E's positional value is 1. So if I need to print the E from this string, I can always specify the string name, or which is the variable name here is the A, with the square bracket and the positional. So this will be something like this. So if I say X of 1, that means we are specifying, okay, hey, within this variable X, which is of type string, I'm specifying the positional value 1. That means that the element which is at position 1, we need to do what? We need to print that. So I can always surround this with the print function, and once we go ahead and do that, you can say it went ahead and printed letter E in this case. We could use a different positional element, so let's go ahead and do that. And in this case, let's say we want to print something at position number 4. So if you take a look at the position number 4, the position number 4 was at O, so that's the reason you would see an O. Let's say we go ahead and specify a position 6. So in this case, it says, okay, hey, string index out of range. That means the positional value sometimes is also called the index value. The index 6, if you take a look at the hello, there is no index 6. That means we don't have index 6 or the positional value 6 in this string hello. So that's the reason it says string index out of range. Okay, hey, the index values that you have gave is out of the range. So the range is here from 0 to 4. So as long as you specify anything within 0 to 4, we are good. If the value is greater than 4, the Python interpreter shell will return a message saying, okay, hey, the string index is out of range. So that way you can troubleshoot easily. Okay, hey, that means the string is not that long enough, don't have that many number of elements, and we are trying to access an element which kind of doesn't exist within our string. There are a few more things that you can do with the our string. So in this case, we took one element out by just specifying the square bracket and the position or index value. If you need to get the certain number of characters, so which is sometimes called substring. So if you want to get a substring out from a string, you can always specify a start point and an end point of the string. Let's say in this case, we want to print LLO. So we know the first L starts at position Z2 and it goes up to position number 4. So if we need to extract this substring, I can go ahead and make use of the start and end. Again, we need to take X, and in this case, the start position is 2. If you see again, the start position, we wanted to take LLO out, so the start position is 2, and we need to go up to O, which is start end position is 4. So we can say 2 colon, we need to go to the end. And again, what do we need to do with this? We need to print the values out, so we can always make use of our print function. And once you go ahead and do that, but if you notice, there is something really interesting happened here. We wanted Python to print this LLO. So we started from 2 and we gave 4. But in the result, we only see LL. There is an O missing. So there is something to keep in mind. When you specify an end position, it's up to that position, but not including that position. So that means 2 colon 4 really says, okay, start from 2, go all the way up to 4, but don't include the position number 4. So that is the reason we just see only LL. So just to repeat one more time, when you specify an end position, we are saying, hey, go up to this position, but this position is not included in the result. So if I really need O, I would have to go one extra position, 5. So we are saying, okay, hey, start from 2, go all the way to 5. But if you see, there is no 5 in this case. But what we just said, the 5 is not included. So that means the Python will go from 2 to 4. But if you go ahead and try to do something like this, 2 to 6. So what happens? We are saying, okay, hey, go up to 6. We know there was no 5. So similarly, there is no 6. But we are saying we need the values from 2 to 5. But do we have an index 5? No. So see what happens in this case? LLO. So it printed only the things whichever were there. So there was nothing on the 5th position, so it didn't print anything after that. So that's what something to keep in mind. So that way you can go ahead and take out the substring. So if you need to take out the substring, you can go ahead and always make use of the starting position and the end position. There are many more functions within the string family or the string class that you are working with. There is another function called stripe. So stripe is something like that. Okay, here let's say I'm defining a string. So hopefully you guys are clear with this position. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this position thing. So in this case, we see there is a string by hello. So this string, the hello is kind of within these two quotation mark. But if I go ahead and put some, so I went ahead and put 2 white space. So these are 2 white spaces within the string. So there are sometimes requirement or a need that you want to take off if there are any extra spaces in front of a string, and if you need to remove those extra space or sometimes called white spaces, and that is especially from the beginning of the string or from the end of the string, you could make use of the stripe function. So if I go ahead and declare again x is equals to, in this case I say 1 space 2 space, so 2 white spaces, and we say hello. And if you go ahead and simply say print x, you would see on the screen there are 2 spaces. So hello was printed after doing 2 white space printing. So if you need to remove the leading or the after white spaces from a string, you could make use of the stripe function. So that would be something like x, which is our variable. On this variable, I want to make use of the stripe function. What do you want to do with this thing after? We want to print the result out from this. So you go ahead and simply do that. So if you compare, so the Python using the stripe function has removed the leading white spaces from the string. Now coming back to our string, so let me go ahead and remove these extra white spaces. We talked about the position or the index of the string. So just to again 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the different index position. The index positions are helpful if you need to take out a certain element or number of elements or a substring from a string. But we need to find out the length of a string. To find the length of a string, we can make use of the length function. So when we are finding a length of any string, the numbers again start the counting again starts from the left to right. But in that case, the counting starts from 1 instead of a 0. So the length of the hello this string is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means if we go ahead and do the length on, if we try to, somebody says, okay, hey, what is the length of this string hello in this case? The length of this string hello is 5. But what is the last positional element or the index value in this string is number 4. So that means if we know the length of a string, which is, let's say in this case 5, we know the last element is always 1 less than the length. So just keep this in mind, guys. This is going to be very handy when we are writing some of the program. So just to repeat one more time, this we talked about the position or the index values, and this is we are talking about the length of the string. So when we are counting the length of the string, the number starts from 1 instead of the 0. That's why in the length you see the length being 5, but the position or index value is 4. So that means the index value is always, or the last element into the string is always less than 1 the length of the string. So now to find the length of this hello, we can make use of the length function. So again we would use the print, and I want to use the length function. Within the length function we are passing our string or the variable. In this case it says, so in this case it says, okay, hey, the length of your string is 7, because if you remember, hello is 5 and we had these 2 white spaces. That's the reason we see 7. And again, you can combine multiple functions. Let's say you don't want to have those white spaces included in your calculation. You can make use of the stripe function, and you can go ahead and simply do that. Now we are saying, okay, hey, first apply the stripe on variable x. So that means we remove the leading space. Once that is done, pass that result to the length function. So in the length function we just passed this hello, which was only the 5 characters. So that's the reason we are saying print. Okay, now print is printing that, which is 5 here. So that way you can also combine multiple functions to work with. Hopefully it's making sense so far. And again, as we said, there are many more functions that you can work with the string. So in this case, our string, so let me go ahead and redefine our string one more time. And again, you can use the single quotation mark, double quotation mark. Let's say in this case, I'm using a single quotation mark. Again, just simply go ahead and do print x. There are a couple of functions. Let's say, hey, you will find them handy again, doing further into programming. There is something called a lower function. There is an upper function. So if you want to change your whole string to the lowercase letters, you can make use of the lower function. So that would be x dot lower. But what do we want to do with this one? We want to print the result. So simply go ahead and put around the print function. And now we're printing everything in the lowercase letter. And similar, if you want to make use of change everything into the upper, you can go ahead and make use of the upper function. So simply go ahead and do that. That would change our string or everything into the uppercase letters. So now let me go ahead and remove the length and just keep the positional values. This is our string and these are the different positional values. Within a string, if you want to replace, let's say, a certain letter with another letter, you can go ahead and do that, and you can make use of the replace function or replace method. So these, let's say in this case, I want to change whatever you call. Let's say we want to change this h into j, so we can make use of the replace function. So the variable is x. I would call replace function. So in the replace function, first we need to say the variable or the letter that we want to change. So we want to change letter h, so comma, and what is the new letter or the value that you want to replace this with. So I want to replace with it, let's say x, and we go ahead and do that. Once we do that, what do you want to do? We want to print the result. So again, we would just simply make use of the print function, and as you can see, we went ahead and changed the letter h to x. And again, you can combine multiple functions if you need to. If you like to do that, you can go ahead and apply upper, lower, or any other stuff that you need to kind of do. Let's go ahead and define another. We're going to go ahead and define our variable. So we call it hello Python, and we can just simply confirm that everything looks good. So this is our variable. So if you see that we have a variable defined with a string, but in the string is made up of kind of two words. There is one word hello with the exclamation sign. There is another word by the Python, and they are both kind of separated by a white space character between them. So there are sometimes requirement where you want to split a string. So in this case, there's a string, and you want to split the string into two strings, depending on some character or some kind of a special thing. In this case, okay, it's a space, or you can make use of the exclamation, or I could make use of any other thing. So let's go ahead. I'm saying hello Python, hello and the Python, and I just put a comma here. So we want to go ahead and split the string where we find a, let's say where we have a comma. So we can go ahead and do that and make use of the split function. So that would be something like this. The variable is x, so on the x we'll go ahead and call the split function. So when you're calling the split function, we need to say, okay, hey, what is the separator which is separating this string? So in this case, you can make use of the exclamation, you can make use of the comma. So let's go ahead and make use of the comma to separate this string. So that means, okay, let's do this one, and then I'll show you another example. So okay, we are doing this, and after that, what we want to do with the result, we just simply needs to print. So again, I can put a print function around that, and then simply go ahead and do that. So if you take a look here, the Python has returned these two strings. One is hello, then there is a comma, then there is a Python. The other thing I was telling, if I have another string, something like this, hello Python, there's another comma, programming series, comma, welcome. And if you go ahead and run the same split function on this one, so you would see wherever there is a comma, I'll go ahead and break the string, split the string that many number of times. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. There are many more things that you can do with the string, and as we continue to progress in this series, we will continue to learn more and more things that we can do with the string. But definitely I would encourage again, follow the W3 schools. Make use of the exercise, go ahead and do the exercise. I will show you one pretty cool thing. Just to wrap this up, we are defining a string, hello world, and if somebody says, okay, hey, we need to reverse the string using one of the one of the way of extracting the strings that you have find, so you can do something like this, x. And I have not talked about some of these things. We will continue to talk as we progress further into the series. So if we need to take a substring out, we were saying a positional starting point. So the starting point, then there is an ending point, and then say -1, and let's see what happens with this one. So we just went ahead and reversed the whole string. So again, there are a few things with this you can do. So if I go ahead and do something print x, let's say you want to start from position 2 all the way up to the end. So you can go ahead and simply do this. You don't have to specify the end position. We are saying, okay, hey, start from position 2, go all the way up to the end. So you don't have to specify the end position. We can do something reverse. Hey, we don't start from the start, but go up to the position number 7. So it's starting from the beginning of the string and it's going up to the 7th. Again, as I said, not including 7th. These are some of the things that you can do. Let's say we say 7 colon -1. So these are some of the different things. And again, I would encourage you to play with some of these different combinations, and you would find some of these syntax very helpful. If somebody says, okay, hey, write a program to reverse a string, you could make use of the substring or extracting some of the element, and you can just simply go ahead and write one simple line of code to reverse a string instead of writing multiple lines of code that you may have probably been done in the past with different programming language. So that way you will find Python to be pretty powerful, pretty handy. And don't worry, we will continue to learn some of these tricks, and some of the syntax as we progress further into our series. This is something I just wanted to show you guys quickly. Thank you, and I will see you in the next episode of the series.